Hello, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen from around the world. Hope you're having a great day, and welcome to another episode of the eSports Report. I'm, of course, Benson, and today we have a jam-packed show. We're going to go over so much stuff, starting, of course, with a recap of Season 3 Finals. We have an amazing top 5 for you as well. We're going to talk roster mania and all the crazy stuff which is going on in the community right now. And as well as that, we're going to take another look at Advanced Warfare and potentially start talking about, game modes, rule sets, who knows what. I'm going to be reading the chat as well, so if you guys have any input throughout the show, please feel free to type and let me know. But as I said, we're going to kick things off with a Season 3 quick recap. And the first thing we want to recap, of course, is going to be the winners bracket. And what can we say about this winners bracket? It was such an intense tournament. Obviously, if you missed it, it was Columbus, Ohio, the first event in MLG TV Arena. And the first game that you'll notice on that winners bracket round 1 was Team Envious versus Most Wanted. Team Envy, they actually took that series 3-1 against Most Wanted, but it was a very, very close game, I have to admit. Most Wanted really came out very, very strong at Columbus, and they did some big things. Very, very impressed with everything from them. But of course, Envious, going into this tournament, they were the #1 seed of the event. And in all honesty, Formal was just so dominant, it was kind of concerning and kind of scary. A lot of people said, Formal, yeah, still undecided. This was his event where he really went out and he just shone like absolutely nothing else. He was an absolute beast. Complete MVP in my mind, and of course Nameless as well, a fantastic player. But moving on in the bracket, it's worth mentioning as well, another winners bracket round 1 upset did actually occur. That was Optic Nation versus Team FaZe. Nation actually took it 3-2. And of course, this is the FaZe team, which was UMG Nashville champions going into it. So a lot of people looked at that and were very, very concerned about that FaZe team. And a lot of, admittedly, roster changes have sort of happened since then, and we'll get into that a little bit later, as I said. But moving on to winners bracket round number 2, we'll follow Team Envious. Of course, they now met up with Optic Nation in round number 2. And this, again, was a game which a lot of people looked at and were kind of not necessarily surprised by, but I think they were more surprised that it was in fact Optic Nation, which met up with Team Envious in round number 2. As I said, Envy, the #1 seed, Optic Nation have been looking very good. They've just taken down UMG Nashville champions, and to be honest, Optic Nation, they did look okay, but of course, again, more roster changes have ensued, and as I mentioned, we'll get onto that in a little bit later on. But Envious, of course, did take the series against Optic Nation. It was a relatively close one, but as I mentioned before, Formal was just on form. I mean, you can see it now. He's going at 11-4, just chilling out in an S&D Warhawk, no big deal. Merc 12-4 as well. So those guys putting up massive digits. Team Envious just proving too dominant. I mean, you can see the score deficit there in that blitz as well, 23-6. Yeah, Envy on another level, they really were. So of course that puts them ready and waiting in the winners bracket final. But on the other side of the bracket, we should talk about that as well. Obviously, we're going to start with winners bracket round 1, Noble versus Rise. Noble and Rise, the two underdogs of the tournament. No one really expected either of these teams to go very far, but it was an absolutely unbelievable series. It really was. Noble, I completely underestimated them. I really did. I thought Rise could potentially be the team that went out and got a very, very high placing, but it was Noble. Slasher and Sender all weekend were putting up such big numbers. They really, really did impress me. Noble did manage to take Rise down in that first round of the winners bracket, and advance into round number 2. As well as that, going back to the bracket, there was another upset. Well, a fan upset, I should say. A lot of people maybe anticipated it, but Denial eSports shutting down Optic Gaming 3-2 in the best of 5. It was some interesting games, that's for sure. Optic Gaming, yeah, they didn't look too hot on day 1. Day 2, they definitely did recover, but we'll touch on that later on. Day 3, well, let's not go there for now. But that, of course, sets up another round, winners round number 2 of our winners bracket, and that was where Denial met Noble. And this game was a very, very interesting one. Again, Noble coming out looking very, very strong, but this is Denial. As I mentioned, a lot of people had Denial, potentially in that grand final, and coming out very, very strong. But it was pretty much upset city, if you will. You see Denial take that first map, and everyone's saying, okay, all right, this is kind of going how we expect. But things did change up in this winners bracket round number 2. But you have to give Noble a lot of props. As I said, a lot of people underestimated them coming into the tournament. No one really gave them enough credit that they were really due. But honestly, they really did perform very, very well. And Noble ended up taking the series. It was a relatively close one, I'm not going to lie, as I mentioned, Denial taking that first map. And that then set up a winners bracket final, which nobody in bracketology history or COD esports history would have been able to guess. An Envious versus Noble grand final. Oh, well, winners bracket final, I should say. And Envious took it 3-1. They did so in convincing style. Because, of course, this is Envious versus Noble. This was the only sort of consistent team, you could argue, in the whole tournament. You know, first seed end up winning the winners bracket final. And you have to give them some props for being so consistent. And as I mentioned before, you know, players like Formal, players like Nameless, JCap, and of course, Merc, they were all having a great event. But honestly, it was just Formal. You see Formal just wrecking face right now in this highlight reel of a couple of the first games. But the big game that I really do want to touch upon is that fourth game. The game where Envy were finally able to close the series out. So without further ado, let's throw it to game 4.
B&C control and try to push for the trip cap here, and I like this play. They're trying to answer aggression with aggression, but Miyagi needs to stay alive here. He has so many players surrounding him. Now going to go for the push play to his left-hand side, cleans up Formal. Can he try and make some plays on the A flag? Not going to happen. Meanwhile, while all this is going on, you actually have JCap who's managed to rotate out of his base. He's looking for some kills, and Sender just turns and gives him the business.
Yeah, Envy played that extremely smart. They know they have so many points to work with right now. Their main goal is not to get 3-capped. I love how they're playing it just safe and secure. Don't go down by too much on this bad side. If you keep getting that back white spawn, they're making sure they're rotating back together, maybe sending 1-2 players out to try and flank and get around to that green area of the map. Nice win from Merc to try and get out of their base. Merc just opening up the door right here, almost getting another win on Sender, but he is just locking down White Formal there to clean it up. Envy playing this very, very well. They're getting 2-capped right now, but they still have a little bit of a lead. As long as they only lose this side by, you know, less than 20 points, I would say, they're feeling good about it.
Okay, well, 61-59. Noble potentially about to take the lead for the first time, but Envy have different ideas. They jump on that B flag, and they're going to be able to get it because Sender not hitting any of those shots. Does connect with one. Can he find anyone else? As they try and get off that B flag. Doesn't look like it, and maybe looking good to potentially actually finish ahead going into the second side.
You see the difference right there. You saw Envy on the B flag not fighting any gunfights. Yeah. The difference completely you see from Noble. They're just peeking out, they're hopping on the flag, trying to challenge gunfights that aren't really needed. You're the one capping the flag. Why do you need to jump out and challenge?
Would you say that's overconfidence, or what would you put that down to?
I guess so. They're trying to just make a hero play when it's not needed. Envy's just double stacking the flag. Both of them were on the white side of the train. You see all 4 players from Noble just team capping that flag right there, but they all sort of go down. Big win right here at the white train. Envy, another double cap. They're just playing it more, you know, more percentage based. Noble's just, it seems like they're getting antsy, a little bit desperate, trying to make these plays that are so dramatic, making it so much harder on themselves, whereas Envy, it looks like the game is so much easier for them.
Big grenades going over towards that B flag. Noble once again managed to get control of it going into the last 10 seconds. 84 to 78 point lead. Envious will end the first half in the lead, and it's going to be by 5 points. So, I mean, it's doable for Noble.
It is doable.
That isn't as big of a lead as I thought. They need to have the
same start that Envy had on this first side, but it's going to be tough. You see, Noble, they're doing fine with the gunfights. It's the gunfights that they're picking to challenge that I'm just constantly questioning. I don't want to downplay their ability. They're all great players we've seen.
He's going to continue slaying as he picks up an assist and almost a kill there, but Formal comes out strong. Can Slasher kept the B flag? No, but it is going to be neutral for now. Sender is able to get it just, but it's going to come down to try and defend it. Wow, Nameless just jumps back on that flag, and he's going to get it straight back, surely.
Yeah, Chino almost making a crazy play. Nice kills from Slasher to keep them in the game here. Only 12-point difference, but Noble just seems so frantic in compared to Envy. They just keep desperately hopping these flags, so staggered on their pushes to this B flag. Miyagi seems to be the only one pushing past enemy lines and trying to make these plays in their base.
Miyagi should have a kill in front of him here. Does so. Can he find a second? Oh, so close, but Merc is going to clean that up as we go into the last minute 20. And that B flag still neutral. Envious do have that lead, and this is exactly what you were talking about, TP. Merc's just going to lie there. He's not going to contest anything. The trophy systems go down. Miyagi picks up another 2-piece on that B flag. I'd love to count how many 2-pieces Miyagi's had this game, because it is probably close to double digits at this point. But sadly, it looks like now, going into the last 60 seconds, Envy should have control. It's going to B flag still in that control, actually, as Merc's trying to rotate all the way around. Noble have hopped on it, but I don't think it's going to be enough.
It really isn't. Just, it's been the sort of same thing the entire side we've seen from Noble and Envy are just waiting it out. The caps were going back and forth. It was sort of a stalemate situation. Noble is getting this B flag though, but they really need to put a lot of pressure and get a 3-cap as fast as possible if they even want a chance to come back. Only 30 seconds left. There's just not enough time left with the current situation and flags that they have.
Yep, Sender was the only man alive. He goes down, and Envious are going to be picking up this winners bracket final. And you've got to give them some serious props, or at least do quick maths. Yeah, with that kill, that pretty much kills it. And Envious, the #1 seed, coming into the winners bracket final.
Seems to be close, but in my opinion of watching that game, it wasn't close at all with the way Envy was playing it. This is the way they wanted it. They didn't care if they ever got the B cap. You have the lead. They knew this. They made Noble make the first move. We're always able to trade.
Well, that was, of course, a recap of the winners bracket final. Team Envious, the #1 seed of the event, showing their consistency and managing to take it. And that, of course, concludes the recap of the winners bracket. Now, coming up later on in the show, we talk rosters and roster mania. We take another look at Advanced Warfare. And as well as that, we have a top 5 plays.